Well, President Trump, though, is taking a victory lap, and he's sending a message to Democrats who refuse to vote on about this. Take a look at this now. This is the tweet everyone's talking about. 370,000 likes. It's using a Game of Thrones thing. Game over. The president says it's time to get back to work. But the question now is, though, where should he start? Joining me, president of the District Media Group and fellow at the Independent Women's Forum, Beverly Hallberg. Beverly, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
All right, so President Trump, he's taking this victory lap. The question now is, what should he do next? Because we got the tweets, politicals saying that these tweets sort of show that the aides were justified in being concerned about retaliation. Some are saying it's showing that he's anxious about something. Should he take the victory lap and move on? And if he does, what should he be focused on?
Well, I think it's going to depend on what Democrats do. So one of the things that Democrats can fall into is if they continue to talk about the potential of impeachment, if they want to continue to talk about this report, they give the president a lot of fodder to continue the story and continue to talk about a witch hunt and to say there was no collusion. They were after me all along. So I think what the president does really depends on what Democrats do, and we're just going to have to wait and see what ends up being the result.
So do you think Nadler is just sort of putting his finger in the air and trying to find out just exactly what might else be in there to use? Because you've got senior leadership in the Democratic Party saying going down this impeachment road is dumb.
You have Nancy Pelosi, you have Steny Hoyer when you think of some long-term Democrats, which Nadler is as well, but they're taking a different perspective, which is leave the impeachment alone. This isn't going to work well for us. What Nadler is going to now, though, I think is a mistake. One of the things we're not talking about today, which is a good thing, is that we had the Attorney General. There are a lot of questions about whether or not he was going to have so many redactions that Democrats would be up in arms. The fact that that's not a narrative today means that he did give a pretty thorough report with redactions that he's going to give to Congress that only has things related to the grand jury. I don't think Nadler needs more, but he's going to continue to push.
He wants the totally unredacted, and he wants the notes, and he wants grand jury.
He wants it all.
And it looks bad on him, I do believe. Is this now, though, the perfect opportunity for President Trump to get even tougher at Russia? Because the conclusion, and everyone shares, is that Russia did meddle in our elections. They attempted some dirty, underhanded things. Is it time to strike back?
I think so. I think we should have been doing that all along. I'm not saying it hasn't taken place, but we have a major issue. One of the bombshells of this report, if we want to say, in addition to no collusion, proving that didn't happen, was that really the essence of Russia interfering with our election was very pervasive. This is something that should be concerning. I think you could have bipartisan support. You should be able to fight that. And I think if Donald Trump led the charge, that would be good for him.
He would certainly take away, too, the narrative that he's soft on Russia, despite the fact that he has done some things the media won't talk about that really have put a lot of pressure on Russia. But this could be even another chance to put a spike through that story.
Well, so much of this is about perception. And one of the things that Democrats are talking about today was the trying to obstruct justice. They're running with that narrative that had to do with him wanting to get certain staff members to say certain things or do certain things. If he wants to really double down and say, not only am I innocent of collusion, but I'm tough on Russia, which he hasn't in rhetoric always been tough on Russia in his presidency.
His actions have been, though.
His actions have, his rhetoric hasn't. And of course, that's where people get confused who don't follow it day in and day out. So I think he needs to be tough on that.
All right, so we got less than a minute to go. One thing I'm telling people, and I'm asking different folks, particularly those who understand opinions, is Russia saw a vulnerability in this country. And no one is talking about that vulnerability, whether it's race, whether it's class. We've got some serious issues in our country that we need to start to think about, and because we wouldn't have to worry about Russia trying to sway the election if there wasn't this much animosity within our country.
Exactly. And by the way, I think it's interesting they were also trying to prop up Bernie Sanders as well. That was another thing that we learned from this report. We do have a major issue, the fact that we can use big tech, social media, to be able to divide people with the ads that are put out there. We have a problem. It's what do you do with the social media aspect? But I agree with you. We don't get there if people weren't already so divided. This is where I'd like the president to lay off some of the name calling, lay off some of the attacks. You can talk tough without having to attack people. I would like to see that moving forward, but I'm not holding my breath.
All right, Beverly, it's great seeing you in studio.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.